Hello, everyone. Now, I'm gonna find out where Aaron's mom is. And let me check how is everyone? Can you guys hear me? Okay. My computer's running slow. So I sent his mom the link, so she should be here in a minute. What we're gonna do today, because there's a lot of new people that have like started following Hey Precious Chaos, KB, Wind Dancer, BS, Where is Summer, Hey You, Christy. Oh, hang on, you guys. I gotta mute out for a second. Sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. That was a phone call that I've been waiting on for a week, and of course they call right when I'm in the middle of something. So, but what I thought we would do today is we're going to revisit starting from the beginning of this case. We're going to be throwing out a timeline and getting some dates nailed down for everyone who I know in Discord we had talked a little bit about, like starting from the very beginning of cases and getting back to basics and just really looking at things like an investigator does. I mean, that's what they do. They dig in, they come up with theories. When those theories don't pan out, they start over from square one and do it all again. And you have to do that. You have to keep refreshing your memory and going over details, looking at things to make sure you didn't miss anything. Um, Dates and times are important when you're trying to find out what happened in any situation. So, I think last time we did this, we had talked about she had sent in the necessary application to try to get Cold Case Foundation to look at this case. They need a timeline. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be finalizing that timeline. You guys are going to be a part of it. So you're going to hear everything. We're going to touch on the basic points, what happened right before the incident, the day of the incident, leading up to where we're at now, which is basically where she was at 2 years ago. And then after we get through that, we're going to get her opinion. I have some questions that I've already sent to her so she could think about them. And we're going to get the opinions from the perspective of a victim's family about all this chaos on YouTube. Like, what do they really think, when they see creators behaving the way they've been behaving? And how do they feel when this stuff goes on? Do they feel their cases are affected in a good way or in a bad way? So I just thought that would be a fun little chat to have a victim's family involved. So she's backstage. I'm gonna bring her on. Mod, you guys know what to do. This is like nonsense time. So if you see the trolls, just whack them. I'm trying to watch my mouth because I am monetized now. So I get to join the club of being called the creator who exploits people. So we're going to talk about that too after we get finished talking about Aaron. So let me bring this mom on and we will get started. Hey. Oh, what?
Hey,
Do I turn on the camera? Do I leave the camera off? Hmm.
make yourself happy. I wouldn't bow to anybody else's whims.
Let's say. Am I untrustworthy with the camera off? Who cares, right?
Exactly.
Mm, uh-oh. Okay, it's getting serious now. Oh my gosh, I just got my first super sticker. Thank you, emergency me. Oh, Jenny's cuddles and kisses. Thank you. I'm gonna have to start like making sure I pay attention to that stuff. So how are you doing?
About the same. I'm hanging in there. I don't
Yeah.
have a choice.
Um, so I let everyone know what we're going to be doing about starting with the timeline, and they're going to be a part of helping us nail that down. Um, and then I'm going to do some begging and some pleading and make some calls and see if we can't get Cold Case Foundation to start helping. I know there's been chatter about him taking on like Rose Bly's case. She's been missing for a few years, which is Summer's aunt. So, you guys, I'm gonna keep playing with my hair if I leave the camera on. Sorry. So I understand that they want to, kind of pick around that case a little bit, but They have, I think Chris said last night, like 100. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Um, I think he said last night they have like 125 people that look at these cases. So it's not like they don't have the people to do it. It's just a matter of getting in line and being, a priority. So we're going to push for that. So I let everyone know that we need to get, thank you, Salty C. Oh my gosh, you guys are spoiling me. Um, so we're going to nail down the basics and just kind of refresh everyone's memory. Thanks, Tiff, the lady sleuth, and just start. I figured a good starting point would be like, when did he move into this house where this happened? How long had he been living there?
I believe maybe a little over, maybe a year, close to a year. The girlfriend, nobody would let her come around, and
Right.
she had sticky fingers, and nobody wanted her in their home,
Right.
and that's the
She
only
draw them
place.
blind.
She did. She did. Aaron had a guy he would do some work for in Nashville when he went to the doctor, and he took her out there and he stole a bottle. She stole a bottle of perfume, and when she come back out from using the bathroom, you could actually smell it on her. And the gentleman told him, said, "You can work for me all you want to." He said, "But you can't bring her back." So
Right.
she's just a bad, bad reputation.
Thank you, Nana. Um, okay, so you got a phone call, and that was what, about a week before the incident took place?
Well, yeah, in January before he was killed,
Hmm.
he called me on average about once a week, and he started calling me and telling me about stuff that was happening up there. And I was raised close to there, and I just couldn't believe that the place where I grew up and walked to kindergarten as a 5-year-old had deteriorated to that point. But he told me about sex trafficking, being asked to kidnap young girls in Nashville when he went to the doctor, preferably 9 and 10-year-olds. And Aaron loved children, and he wasn't no angel choir boy by any means, but there was lines that you didn't cross. And when he told him no, it seemed like stuff started deteriorating, because he asked me what to do about it. I said, "Call the law." He said, "Mama, one of them is the law."
Hmm.
And I said, "Oh my gosh." But they were selling bad drugs called wasp dope, and he told me how they done it.
Yeah,
And it's actually killed one or two people. And
that's crazy.
it
So
is.
that last call was like about a week before.
Yeah, he called me 8 days before he died, is on Thursday. And he called from his dad's phone. He was in Nashville. I tried to get him to stay till I had to come up to the doctor the following Friday, and he had to get back up there to Karen.
Right.
And he
Those
told me,
women, those women will get you every time.
well, yeah. And he had a savior complex. He thought he could save her, but you
Right.
can't
And
save
I mean,
people
he
from
cared about
themselves.
her. He wanted what was best for her. And he
Oh,
sacrificed, he literally,
he was absolutely in love with her. Absolutely. But he told me, he said, "Mama," he said, "I think I've got into something I can't get out of." And I said, "Well, just pack your stuff and leave." And he said, "They won't let me." And I said, "Who won't let you?" Because Aaron's not much about being told what he can do. He's
yeah.
got a problem with authority. But he said, "Mama," I said, he said, "if something happens," he give me a detective's name. He said, "Call Overton County, ask for this detective, and he will tell you what's going on."
Right.
And I said, "Aaron," I said, "are you working for this man?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to help his cousin out of a manufacturing charge. I said, but you're not in trouble. He said, no. He said, I'm trying to help her out. And it was at this specific location. But, um, I tried to talk him into leaving. I said, come to me. I said, I'll send you the money. Come to me. He said, Mom, I can't. They won't let me. So,
So
we
that's got to be a helpless feeling to know you're in a situation that it's not good. It's harming people. It's tearing families apart, and people are trying to force you into doing things that you just don't want to do, and there's nowhere to turn. You're supposed to be able to turn to law enforcement when things like that happen. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and be a snitch, but when you feel like you're trapped in a situation, it's like, what do you do? Where do you go? You can't, there is no out.
no, there wasn't. And Aaron was a big man, 6'6", 245. So, he had always had somebody that wanted to try him. And Aaron wouldn't fight unless he was provoked. He didn't pick fights, but he wouldn't stand and watch somebody pick on somebody either, especially somebody that was older or handicapped or a child. He had a protective nature about him. But also on Friday night, he had went after he talked to me on Thursday. He went to Bobby Kirk's and asked if he could stay at Bobby's, and Bobby said, "Well, yeah." He said, "But Karen can't come." And he said, "Bobby," he said, "if something happens to me," he said, "you tell my mom and daddy I didn't do it and to not let it go." And of course, I didn't find out about this till it was a few days after he had died. Bobby called and said he needed to talk to me in person. But, that's where we left it at when, we told each other we loved each other. And
Yeah. Just imagining what he was feeling at that point, like not everyone gets the opportunity to know that something is coming, that something is going to happen. Victims of car accidents, things like that, they don't typically know. It's just over and done.
yeah,
So to make that phone call to you and to make a phone call to a third party and pretty much say, I know something's about to happen to me, that had to be torture. Like, I couldn't imagine being in his situation. And
no,
the fact that he kept going and, kind of accepted whatever was going to happen was going to happen. He just wanted, his last thoughts were to make sure that you guys knew that he
he
loved
didn't.
you and he wasn't responsible. And I mean, it just makes me so angry every time I think about it. But, we're going to get through this together. We're going to get some sort of resolution. So he called you and let you know, I'm in this crap situation with these crap people. They want me to do this stuff and I want to leave, but they won't let me.
Yeah,
So a few days go by, 8 days go by.
yeah.
What day was it that this incident took place?
On Friday, I had been to the doctor in Nashville, and I was coming back down 40, and I don't know. I guess it's somewhere a little after 5:15, 5:20. I don't know. I had a real sharp pain in the back of my head. I had to pull over for a few minutes, and then I went on home. I, got my car unpacked and got in a bathtub, and a call come in from with a 931 area code, which
Mhm.
is what Aaron would always call from. And I missed the first one, and then they called back, and I answered. And he, the guy, it was Bo, one of Aaron's friends. He said, "Mama." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Who is this?" He said, "This is Bo." He said, "Mama, Aaron's gone." he said, Big Brother's gone. I said, what do you mean? He said, he's gone. I said, what are you talking about? He said, Rabbit. He said, Rabbit's gone. I, I said, where'd he go? He said, Mama, he's dead. Well, he said he hung himself, was his exact words. And I said, is he okay? He said, no, Mama, he's gone. I fell out of the bathtub and I called his daddy. And his daddy finally answered the phone. And he was there at the scene where Aaron was. And I said, is Rabbit gone? He said, yeah. He said, he's dead. The events, I called the funeral home and made arrangements for him to, to go get him. Explained we didn't have any money up front, but, we'd pay for it. And they agreed to go get him. And I told him, I said, when you go to get him in Nashville, call me and I'll come on. So I had the whole weekend from Friday to Monday when they called me to make peace that he had took his own life. I got up there late Monday night. It's about 280 miles from where I'm at, and talked to his daddy. He explained to me that Hack had brought Aaron over to his uncle's house where Blue was, his daddy. They'd spent the whole day together. Hack had told him to come back down there somewhere around 5 o'clock, and he'd give him his rent money back for the month that he had paid him on the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked his
And
dad.
what month was that?
That would have been in April.
Okay. So April 2nd, you guys better taking notes. He paid his money.
2000. That would have been 2019.
And secured his place to live for the next whatever length of time they had arranged, a week, month, or I don't know if he paid monthly or what.
They paid by the month. He paid $200 a month. And
so
Aaron
on the 5th is when everything went down.
Well, it seems like there was a lot of trouble leading up to it. On the 3rd, Aaron had been out and detailed a car. He was just really good at stuff like that. He could do anything. Very talented. He come in when his girlfriend was having oral sex with Hack's son. There was a big commotion over that. He just went on to bed, and on the 4th, there was another incident with one of Aaron's cousins named Rufus and his girlfriend Crystal. They were jumping on Colby. Colby's a good kid. Aaron was really close to him. They were jumping on him, and at that time, Colby hadn't ever done any drugs, and Aaron told him to leave him alone. He was working on homework, I believe, and told him to leave him alone. He was the only one out there that would ever amount to anything. And Rufus took it real personally and went to Aaron's other cousin, which is also named Aaron, and asked him to help him jump Aaron, that Aaron was a smartass. And Bud told him, he said, man, we're family, just talk it out. Rufus didn't want no part of that. But anyway, Thursday night, I guess they went to bed, or he went to bed while all of them was sitting, doing whatever they do. And Friday morning, he just got up and decided he'd had enough. That was all the cheating he was going to stand. Right. And he asked Hack to take him to Big Aaron's. Like I said, he spent the day with his dad. He had a half a pint of liquor in his back pocket when he got there. When the police got there, he still had nearly half of that. So he'd sipped on it a little bit all day. His dad took him back down there I guess it's about 4:55. Dropped him off. He hugged his daddy and asked his dad how he liked his shoes he had on. His dad didn't like them, but he had on a brand new Realtree hat he had bought, a blue thermal shirt with jeans, and his belt. He hugged his daddy, told him he loved him, kissed him, and said, "Come back and get me in 30 minutes and take me to Livingston." So Karen run out and tried to get him to go ahead and go riding around or something, and for whatever reason they didn't. And Blue left, went back to his brother's, and there was a call come in from a lady. I think her name's Sheba. Yeah, and she told Bud that she called Bud's phone and told Bud that Aaron was dead. And we're talking about in a time span at the most could have been probably 40 minutes at the most. You know, people don't pay real close into the time. But anyway, they said he is dead. Blue had done got back in his truck to go down there back to get him when they told him. And his cousin, Wayne Stacy, drove him down there. Aaron was laying on the ground uh, in a curled up fetal position. They wouldn't let his daddy near him. Uh, they ID'd him by his driver's license, which I thought you were supposed to, if you have somebody present that can ID them, that's family, that's usually what protocol is. But, you know, I'm not sure.
It
But
just every department does it different. I mean, they typically though will let. I mean, depending on what type of scene it is, that scene wasn't like. I mean, they
no,
walked into it thinking it was. They knew they had their mind made up. Well, when they got there, it was that he took his own life. So,
yes, we were told initially that only him and Karen were there. Now, this is from the detective. I talked to him quite a bit on the phone, text messages, while we was waiting on the autopsy. It took 6 months to get the autopsy report back, or that's when they finally let the ME release a copy to us anyway.
mhm.
But anyway, he had told Blue that only Karen and him were there, that he went in the bedroom, got a rope, run out, grabbed her by the hand, and said, "Here, you're going to watch this." Climbed up a pole, which is roughly about its equipment shed where his body was. It
Mhm.
was about 16 feet high. Climbed up a pole that didn't have steps on it. He reached out. I would have had to reached out between 4 and 5 feet. Threaded the rope through next to the tin, and then tied a slip knot. Come back down and stand on the rail that there was one rail that you could step up on, is about 34 inches off the ground. Uh, and then, he had to come back down and then hung himself. She said in her statement, they interviewed her the following. She was arrested that day at the scene. Immediately upon arrival, the police officers arrested her. So, and the initial charge was murder, but I cannot find one of the flyers. They have that. You see in convenience store who's been arrested in your area. I believe what it's called, mobile patrol. And but by the next morning, the charge had been changed. There was also another guy arrested at the scene. But
Nothing
go ahead.
self. You know, and it wasn't. He was arrested on for taking and what happened to him.
Uh, I think it was unrelated charges, like not showing failure to appear, something like that.
Stuff
But
that if had any consequence to begin with, they were out on the street doing this kind of crap. But that's a whole other can of worms.
yeah,
So everything happens, and you know, you start the best of taking
oh, Are you
encounter
back?
at the funeral home, right?
Uh, yeah. Like I said, when I got Tuesday morning, we went to the funeral home to pick his things out, and I would ever his daddy and his cousin walked out in the outside to smoke, and one of the guys that was at the scene come into the funeral home and turn around, walk back out like he was looking for somebody, and we wasn't aware that anybody knew his body was back, but he uh he said, he had something he wanted to say, obviously. But anyway, I walked out in the hall, and I couldn't leave. I don't know what it was, but I asked the mortician if he was in the room where I was in front of, and he said yeah. And I asked to see him. When we walked in, I asked him to turn the lights up. He had a cut that run from between his eyebrows down through his eyelid, past the corner of his right eye. The meat just laid down on his cheek. His eyeball was busted. His nose is broke. Right side of his face looked like hamburger meat. I didn't even know it was him. I I looked for marks on his neck. I couldn't find any. And I know I wasn't. Mother's never objective. And I
Right.
asked the mortician. I said, "Do you see any marks on his neck?" He said, "In 25 years of doing this," and he said, "I've done a lot of hangings." He said, "I've never seen nothing like this." He said, "Was he in a fight?" He said, "Because it looks like he put up one hell of a fight." I told him, I said, "I can't tell you." I said, "I was told he hung himself." But after seeing him with the broke nose and the cut looked like it was so straight, it looked like it'd been cut with a scalpel. And even after they got him prepared, he didn't even look like my son, not remotely. And I didn't think to check his body for anything else. But I looked down at his left hand, and there was a tattoo of a star on his finger, and that's how I knew it was him.
Right.
His face, I couldn't tell it was him. He had a mark across his forehead, like right through here, that I still don't know what caused it, but I know he had his cap on. But
For those that weren't here last time, all these injuries to the face that they're trying to explain away, what they're using to explain it away is puppies, a litter of puppies.
yes,
They're saying that little puppies with tiny little teeth ripped his eye open. We all know that didn't happen.
yes,
Um, so yeah, incompetent all the way around.
yeah. It was
So
supposedly 2-week-old puppies. His he always wore a carat diamond earring. His right earlobe had been torn completely out, completely in two. And we left. They said it would take a little bit to prepare him because of all the injuries.
right. The
And
injuries from puppies. You
yeah,
guys keep these
two week
puppies
old
in
puppies.
mind. Two
Uh,
week old puppies aren't even up like doing anything. So yeah,
no.
that's a big red flag in my educated opinion.
Well, they just obviously they didn't secure the scene, or the puppies couldn't have
Okay.
gotten to him. Uh, we were told initially, and that Russell had done CPR on Aaron, which up until I got to see all of what that me, my daughter, and another lady went and looked at their evidence. And in their evidence, even the crime scene photos, it showed him laying on the ground in a curled up fetal position. He was laying on his left side. His left arm was under him. Uh, he had on, it looked to be a brand new white short sleeve t shirt. So his clothes had been changed from when his
Right.
dad had dropped him off. His belt was undone, and he had on a pair of knee high, lace up snakebiter boots, but they weren't laced up. And he laid on the ground from what we can get, 5:15 till nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, uncovered. I don't know why they would have left him lay like that. But
Right.
Bryant Dunaway is the DA. He'd called TBI to ask them to come to do the investigation. Upon their arrival, they were told there had been a big party, and they come out and they found him. Well, that's entirely different from the story they told us. And I
Right.
told the agent when I talked to him, I said, well, that's not what they told us. Uh, then, when I actually got to meet with the detective face to face, I had saved a question for him. I wanted to see his face when I asked him. And I asked him, I said, is Aaron working for you? He just smiled real big, leaned back in his chair. He never said yes and he never said no, which told me what I needed to know.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because that was like um my next point on the timeline is how soon after everything happened did you actually did law enforcement contact you for a
Never.
follow-up? They
No,
never contacted you.
no. I was the one that initiated the calls. Uh,
Okay.
I
And
actually
that
had,
happened, was that in between the funeral and the incident, or did you wait until after the funeral to do it?
well, actually, while we were at the funeral home, the girlfriend, they let her call the funeral home and tell them that her and Aaron were married in an Aryan Brotherhood ceremony, and that she wanted him cremated. Of course, that would have been over my dead body. But I called the detective then and I told him, I said, you need to put a leash on her. I said, she called the funeral home. And after I've come to find out, a girl that was in jail with her overheard the phone call. She'd called down there several times. So they never took her phone privileges or stopped her from contacting us or contacting the funeral home anyway.
Are
But
Aryan Brotherhood marriage ceremonies something that are typical?
I have never even heard of such. Aryan Brotherhood, from my understanding, they pretty much well just pass women around, with each other.
Right.
Now, I can't swear to that because I don't know any, and that's not something I've ever been a big fan of. Is
Right.
gangs. I have a idea of what I think about them, and they probably wouldn't like it, so I'll keep it to myself. But anyway,
Who cares?
yeah.
No.
Well, I just think if you've got to travel in a gang, which was with Aaron's case, that night after we picked his stuff out, I started having phone calls come in. And how these people got my phone number, I have no idea. But there's a girl called me and she said, Lisa. I said, yeah. She said, you're Aaron's mother. I said, yeah. She said, Aaron didn't hang himself. She gave me two guys' names that was close to Russell down there. She said, they'll tell you what happened. Well, I finally got in contact with one of them. He wasn't telling nothing. But the drug community up there they're very, very close knit. They will not
And
tell
very
a case.
organized and,
Yes,
secretive, and they're
very.
very strategic from what I gather.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's not just in Tennessee, it's anywhere, but Tennessee seems to have a pretty good network and games that they play to cover each other with different crimes. There's no doubt about
Oh,
that.
definitely. Well, see my opinion is, they've all been in trouble. Most are felons. You got people that's manufacturing. Uh, and when they know something that's really, really bad, they hold it. It's like blackmail, really, emotional
Right.
blackmail. Hey, if you tell on me, I'm telling on this. So they're all covering each other's butts for all their illegal activities. But like I
So,
said, go ahead.
um, how soon after, like, do you remember approximately the date that you had to reach out to the detective?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure that you did it pretty quick.
okay, let me think. The first time I actually spoke to him would have been on Wednesday. It'd been after 3 p.m. No, it wouldn't have. It would have been at 2 p.m. because that's when visitation started. And that's when the funeral director come out and told me that she had called.
Okay.
And, that's the first time I called him and told him, that she called and what she said. And she had actually, as we talked, he told me that she had told him the same thing. But see, when Karen was, from my understanding, was blowed out of her mind when they arrived and may have assaulted two police officers, and they loaded her up, took her to jail. And
Yeah.
my understanding, they're not supposed to interrogate a witness until 30 days, I think, after they withdraw, after their withdrawals are over. They interrogated her the next morning. That night at the scene, uh, the DA was there. The DA's photographer, Randall Slayton, was there. He's the one that took the pictures. He took really good pictures, really good. But and they had them all on the front porch together. They never once went inside the house. During all of this, they didn't go inside the house. Uh, one detective, my husband stayed down there for 3.5, 4 hours. He didn't want to leave him alone, and they told him they was fixing to head to Nashville with him when his daddy left. But he was there till nearly 1 in the morning. But anyway, they put them all up on the front porch. They never separated them. They interviewed Crystal and recorded the conversation. It was led yes and no questions. He obviously hung himself. Yes, questions like that. It was very short interview. He interviewed Russell. Russell said he had done CPR on Aaron. He told Aaron's dad the same thing, but you can't do CPR on somebody laying on their side.
Right. There's a
And
certain
they,
position you have to be in order to successfully try to perform CPR. I mean,
yes,
but when you're dealing with a bunch of people who have been drinking and doing drugs for God knows how many days in a row, they don't think about little details like that. Criminals will always give themselves away. You just have to really pay attention to what they're saying, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you something 10 minutes later. They're not going to know what they told you. So
exactly.
you finally make contact with the detective, and you let him know, look, that there's some shady stuff going on. She's wanting to have my child cremated. They're not even legally married. I mean, anyone can stand in a room with a group of people and say, do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. And then consider themselves married. But by law, she had no right to be involved in any funeral preparations or arrangements whatsoever.
No, I mean, I see the question here is, How did she know what funeral home he was at? They had to have told her. That's the
Right.
only, yeah, because I mean, he died in Overton County. The funeral home was in Jackson County. They had to tell her which one was handling his body. But like I said,
Which just adds another layer of trauma, to you're already dealing with enough. And then you find out that some crazy girl is trying to basically hijack your son's body and do with it what she wants done. The only
yes,
reason you would try to insist or try to is in a situation like that to just make the
hide
executive
evidence.
decision is you want something gone, not able to be found. You want,
Exactly.
but he's a
Well,
lunatic. How it
through
works.
the when let's see, on Wednesday night, uh, one of his cousins or the other Aaron's daughter had came up with her uncle to visitation. He had stage 4 cancer, and he had to leave real early.
Hmm.
And when she went out in the parking lot, the same guy that had come to the funeral home Tuesday morning was in the parking lot arguing with Crystal and Rufus and RJ. And his name is Paul. Paul said, "Why did you do this to this family? Why are you putting them through this?" And she told him to shut the F up, that Bud's daughter could hear what they were saying. And she actually did hear every word of it. And she called me as soon as she got back to Lebanon and told me what had happened. So I called the detective and I told him. He says, "Well, I'll talk to her." So, and she agreed to talk to him, make a statement. She told me, and I've got copies of screenshots of what she told me. I asked her to tell me exactly what she heard, and I said, "I don't want you making anything up." I said, "It needs to be the absolute truth." I said, "If Aaron hung himself, he hung himself." And truthfully, I know this is going to sound bad, but it would have been a lot easier had he done it himself, because I've been fighting 31 months. And
Right.
it's a never ending nightmare, because as you go along, uh, you start remembering things. Uh, my daughters, like she said, things started coming back. I remembered in the crime scene photo, uh, there never was, I never saw a picture of the rope actually hanging from the beam that the police officer took. All the photos I saw was him laying on the ground. He was laying in the dirt. He had on that solid white t-shirt, his belt undone, his pants were undone, and the boots that were, supposedly hanging off his feet, they were completely unlaced. Aaron wore 13 and he had real wide feet, so they had to be really unlaced to get his feet in.
Right.
And she told in her statement that when Aaron come back down, he swung out. She said she got his feet, swung them back over to the rail, and he got one of his feet hung. But he swung back out and she couldn't get him swung back in. And I'm thinking, how far can you swing out if you've got one foot hung? That was the first thing that hit my mind. And she said she picked up on him and picked up on him. And then she said uh, she went in the house and asked Erica to call 911. Erica told her to call it. Well, see, there's the first question I have, because the detective told me only Aaron and Karen were there. So he said they'd gotten a fight. He smacked her. She flew across a couch and hit a table. I went all through the house. There's no place that could have happened. But she,
Well, and the time frame just doesn't add up. I mean, we're talking
no,
30, 40 minutes tops. There,
Yeah.
no, it just didn't happen that way. And
Well, she
there's
went.
no way he walked anywhere
No,
from the house to the building without those boots being laced up. You can't walk in
exactly.
those without them being laced.
Well, if she said he was pushing her away with his feet and hands. Now, when the body's dying, there's certain tremors that it goes through.
Hmm.
But pushing away with your hands is not one of them. And she walked 100 yards down the road to a trailer where Hannah and Nickcox lived, knocked on the door. Hannah answered it. She was screaming, hollered it, and she told Hannah, she said, "Here, you talk to the 911 operator." So when we listened to those calls, as Hannah was talking to them, Hannah said, "Well, there's 6 of them up there fighting." There again, they told us there wasn't anybody there.
Could you
Uh,
hear any whispering in the background, like someone was trying to feed information
uh,
as to what to
you could
say
you
or
could hear
not
you
say?
could hear like I said, it's about maybe not hardly 100 yards. Maybe it's between, I know it's between and 50 and 75 anyway. You could hear them all hollering and screaming up there. And I mean, and when she said there's 6 of them up there fighting, and then you could actually hear one of them, somebody say, "Give me a knife." And I mean, there's things. I mean, things didn't add up. Uh, Now, after the funeral home, after we buried him, I was in a rage.
I bet.
Oh, I asked somebody to go out back out there with me, and Jason Tidwell went with me. I went in the house. Erica was laying on the bed. She was dope sick. Hack was standing front door, and I never knocked on the door. I just went in. I was looking for a fight. I ain't got no lie to tell. Uh, I told Hack, I said, "If Aaron's got anything here, I want it." And he said, "I don't think he has anything." And all of a sudden, my eyes were burning, my nose was burning, and it was bleach. I didn't realize, I was in such a rage. It took, I
It was
guess, for
cleaning day at the drug house.
yeah, it was. But she was on the bed and she wouldn't get up. She wouldn't turn over and look at me. If I had to do it over, I'd handle it a little different. But anyway, I walked out to the shed. Jason stood and talked to Hack, and then Aaron's dad showed up. Well, there's 5 or 6 showed up. When while Aaron was laying there on the ground, they had took his suitcases, went all through them. Like I said, the diamond earring was gone out of his ear. Uh, I mean, his clothes were strode everywhere, and they were all soaking wet. I mean, soaking wet. Suitcases, there was 2 of them. Everything was soaking wet. What I got back from the medical examiner was soaking wet. And I asked them why everything was so wet. And they said that Aaron had tried to set his suitcases on fire and that they had put them out. And but there was no signs of scorching, accelerant fluids or anything like that. I mean, you can smell them, nothing. You couldn't even smell where they had tried. You could smell flames from like lighters and stuff, and there was nothing like that. So they picked all his clothes back up, put them in a suitcase, and for whatever I was looking around on the ground, and his hat was laying there. I picked it up.
That was a good find that you're able to find the hat because
Yeah,
that hat's a pretty important piece of evidence just for the sheer amount.
yes, it was, and I wore the hat for a little while.
Hmm.
And one day, a person looked at me and they said, "Is that blood on that hat?" And then I remembered he had on a brand new hat, and the hat smelled like him.
Right.
Uh, and it was soaked in blood from the inside out. So I took it off and I put it away. But I know I'm bouncing around here. I'm trying not to, but I can't help it. On Monday night when I got there, a friend of mine had got in from Florida before I got in, and she had went down there to see what happened, and that was on the 7th. The rope was still hanging from the beam. Now this beam is, like I said, is 16 feet. Um, it was still hanging there, and she had her brother take it down. I don't know that they had rubber gloves on or not, but I do know they brought it down, put it in a paper bag. She videoed this, her brother taking it down. I have the video. They picked up a liquor bottle at the scene, which was not Aaron's brand. That would have DNA, fingerprints.
Right.
Uh, and I just, I got possession of it on Monday. Monday. Monday nights when it was given to me. It was given to me as soon as I pulled in. Um, there's a couple other things I won't name. I have for
Yeah, I don't want to
they
lay
need to
it
be
all out
tested.
there.
Yeah, but anyway,
So, so
you
that
know,
was on the 7th that you got that stuff.
let
Yeah,
me say, let's say Friday, Saturday. No, no, it was on the 8th. It was on
the
the
8th.
8th when she
Okay.
gave it to me. Yeah, as soon as I got there, she brought it to me, and I locked it up. Never touched it. Uh, phone calls started coming in. People sending me messages everywhere. I screenshot and everything. Uh, and a girl called me and she said, Lisa, she said, he didn't do it. And I said, well, how do you know? She had called the girl that claimed that she said Aaron was killed in the house. She said there was a fight broke out and Aaron had knocked Rufus's front tooth out, and he didn't have a front tooth after that point. And Aaron went to the front door, told Hack, just give me my money. Daddy will be here in just a minute. And he leaned down in Hack's face, and when he did, Hack was a whole lot shorter than Aaron. He's shorter than I am. I'm 5'8". And he said, just give me my money and I'll leave. And Hack laughed at him. And that's when Aaron leaned down. I don't know that he may have accidentally headbutted Hack. I don't know.
Would he
But
have
Hack,
headbutted him on purpose?
uh, I wouldn't think so because Aaron thought a
He
lot
was
of
a
Hack.
little old man, Yeah, they were
He protected the old man. His son was
right.
back to come in and take his money and abuse him and stuff, and the girls would too that stayed out there. And Aaron protected him. And I don't see that if he done it, I don't see that he done it on purpose. But in any event, they said Hack went to the floor. He looked up at Aaron and said, "You fucked up. Russell's fixing to kill you." And he was hit from behind. He went down. He was hit a second time with a pipe, and I guess the second lick rendered him unconscious. I believe that's probably when he actually died because judging from the damage I saw on his face, the cut on his eye, the broke nose, I think that may have when he passed. I hope he didn't suffer.
Right.
But there were 5 guys involved. I have all the names. Uh, They tried, and I put every one of them's name out on Facebook. I haven't hid anything from the get go. That's the only avenue I had to fight because I'm the little guy. They knew we didn't have the money to fight, and I had to use what resources I had. I was actually called by Crystal and Rufus on 3 separate occasions, them threatening to kill me. And I'd call the detective and tell him, "Oh, I'll take care of it." And I kept getting
And
calls. And
nothing ever got done about it, did it?
oh, no. And I'd located Aaron's cell phone. So 2 of Aaron's cousins went and took it away from Crystal. One of them had it. The one Aaron was trying to help out of the manufacturing charge took the phone and destroyed it. And I had told the detective for weeks, she has it. And he kept saying he couldn't find her, couldn't catch her at home. Well, I had somebody watching her. She was at home every day. And, I started seeing that Aaron didn't matter. And he told, the police officer that asked him to kidnap the little girls in Nashville that was with Russell, he gave me his name. And, there's a lot of things I haven't put out. I wouldn't know the guys' names anyway. I didn't know the detective because I hadn't lived up there in probably 40 years. I was ready to get out of there when I got old enough to get away. Go back on occasion to visit. There's just a lot of heartache. But the girl said, well, she called Crystal. She needed a ride somewhere. Crystal told her she couldn't because she was busy cleaning up a crime scene and she had to get it done before the cops got there. And she left it at that. And her boyfriend also heard the call. Another girl called and said she needed to ride to get diapers to get it for her baby. And she said, I can't do it right now. I'm busy cleaning up a murder scene. And she asked, what? She said, whose? And she said, Rabbit's. And he deserved to die. And her boyfriend also heard that. These two, the first two, went to the detective, wanted to give a statement about what Crystal had said, and he told them to mind their own business, that I had actually sent him over there to arrest them for murdering Rabbit. So he was trying to create a division between them and me already.
Lots of divisions going
Oh,
on
yeah.
in the world today.
I talked to all the people, the names that was given to me. It was just statement, it started coming out. It took me 9 months to place a car that was there. It took me 9 months to find out who the car belonged to. And it was Karen's baby's daddy. He's passed away now. After they had killed Aaron, they gave Russell a ride to Crystal's house. All these cars scattered before the law got there, and then miraculously all showed back up at the same time. Paul Sullivan was one of them. Supposedly Crystal, Paul, Russell, and Norman Bowles showed up together. Now, I'd got a Norman's name that had told a guy that there was a fight broke out, and the next thing he knew, Aaron was dead. I don't know.
There's many different stories with little bits and pieces that kind of match up, but there's not one consistent story from A to Z.
No, Erica got where she was telling that Aaron and Karen had been down there all day at Hacks doing meth and pills, and that they got into it. Well, see, that's not possible. He was with his daddy from about 9:30, 10 in the morning,
right,
up until he took him back down there. And, these people they're making wasp dope out there that does strange things to the mind.
Yeah, you
And
guys need to
then,
Google that. I don't want to like give the process on here of how to do it, but Google wasp meth, and I had never heard of it before. But I mean, it's crazy the stuff that they're doing. So
and what it
when
does to the body, what it does to the mind is absolutely incredible.
yeah, it really makes you feel crazy. And when you Google the drug itself, you guys, it'll link you to a bunch of stories of different areas in Tennessee where people have ingested this drug and the things that it's made them do. And so we already know that there's a bad meth problem in
Oh,
Tennessee, right?
yeah. I actually
And
called the state representative and asked for his help for that district. And
And
I
you guys,
talked to,
it's the 13th district. I've been trying to look up their stats for a while. I haven't done it in like the last month or so just because of all the chaos. But every time I've tried to go on there, it says web page not available.
yeah.
So that to me, that's a they've updated all the other districts and put their stats up, but this area has a lot of unexplained
It has a lot of
self-inflicted,
suicides that aren't
yeah,
suicides.
and just crazy things that are going on. So most of everybody in the chat has heard about all the theories and conspiracies and things like that, with Summer's case and with the children that go missing. So the trafficking, that stuff really goes on, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so, like we've all assumed, law enforcement is involved in some way. Um,
Well, unfortunately, I found out a lot of stuff I don't want to know,
right.
but it's time the public knows. I'm 63, and I've had death threats, and I've come far enough now. I believe that somebody, if something happened to me, somebody would pick it up. And what I'm after is to clear Aaron's name of suicide for his kids. They know. I have had a little girl actually was in the police department at Overton County when she overheard a conversation between one of the DA's detectives and a cop from Clay County, and he told him, he said, "We know he didn't hang himself. Okay, what's the problem? Do the right thing." But I filed an FOIA, what is that, Freedom of Information Act
Uh-huh.
paper with them back last year in 20. And a lady called me from the district attorney's office. No, it was from the county executive office. I took the call. I didn't recognize the number. I thought it might be something to do with Aaron. She asked me if I'd filed the papers. I said I did. She says, "Well, I can't uh, let you have them for two reasons." And I says, "Okay." And she said, "First, you won't let us close the case." I said, "No." I said, "Hell freeze before I let you close it." I said, "I know how Tennessee is about that."
Right.
And she said, "Second, the case has been turned over to TBI." And this was real late in the evening when I got the call. And I don't know, I by this time, I don't trust anybody, cops, nobody. And there's actually, I know there's good police officers out there. I mean, excellent, that lay their lives on the line. But it didn't take me long to figure out that it wasn't just one or two. But anyway, I called back the next morning to make sure that it was the right place. And they said that this lady worked for them once a week. So she called me back again the following week and asked me what my problems with the case was. I told her, I mean, same thing I'd put out on Facebook. Uh, and she says, "Well, I'm Overton County's attorney." and which I didn't have no problem telling her the, I'd tell the truth what my problems was. And within 5 days, Overton County, there was a gag order issued. They weren't to discuss it among themselves, among them family, with their families. Nobody. Don't discuss it. So in late November of 20, Bryant Dunaway called me, and he said, you asked for some paper to do with your son's case. I said, I did. He says, well, I can't let you have anything unless you agree to close it. I said, no. I said, but since I have you on the phone, I said, I've tried to call you 4 or 5 times. I said, I never got a return call from you. I said, I have some statements for some people that will talk to you. They won't talk to Overton County, but they'll talk to you. And that proves Aaron didn't hang himself. He said, would you talk to one of my detectives? I said, yeah. I said, do you have a Detective Slayton? He said, yeah. I said, I'd like to talk to him. So we met on the 15th of December, and we sat there. My grandson went with me. I made sure there was always with somebody with me where they couldn't say, no, she's crazy. She didn't see this or she wasn't there. I don't know why, but I did. And after about an hour and 15 minutes, him writing down stuff, he looked up at me and he said, well, I'm overwhelmed with what you've got. He said, are you going to give me the rest of it? I said, I'll give you 3 statements. I give him 3. I said, when you do something with that, I'll give you everything I've got. And I give him one where one of the killer's sons actually named Rufus as one of the killers. I figured they needed that one.
Right.
And I gave him one of the girls' statements that had talked to Crystal on the phone, and another girl's. And it
Done
went by.
nothing.
And no, in August, when I talked to you, I outed him because he had asked me not to say anything, and I hadn't said a word to nobody. In those 10 months, he never contacted nobody, which, I knew which side he was on, because I had been told a lot about this guy. So, my little investigating, I've run across stuff that a lot of these are tied together. Same names, same officers, police officers doing the cause of death, and then the Tennessee's ME process.
Is a
General,
joke.
oh, joke! I about fell out on the floor when I read what.
As long as you have a high school diploma, you can be a medical examiner.
Yeah, high school diploma, no felonies. You can be a county medical examiner. And when you get to the state, the police officer will always, this is an apparent suicide, blah, 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 blah. And after I get
That
into,
drives me crazy.
yeah, and after I get into reading it, and I'd actually spoke to a woman that had been a county medical examiner, and she explained it. She said it was very rare that the state medical examiner went against what the police officer at the scene said. I said, well, what do we need medical examiners for then? I said, they're just wasting money. I said, you've got unqualified people out making the cause of death. And
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain situations where, yes, they're going to take what the first responders, the first officers on the scene say. But when you have a situation like this with just red flags in all directions and neon lights pointing, saying this is not what happened, you got to kind of take a second look, I mean,
well, from what I don't understand, I don't know how long it takes to do an autopsy, but I do know they ordered a full cranium autopsy on Aaron. The weight of his brain was, the weight of his lungs, all that stuff was on there. But things like they didn't take a body temperature at the scene to establish time of death. Uh, like and when I another thing when I seen the crime scene photos when I first saw it, I had to step back because I nearly passed out. And my daughter said, "Mom, you need to step back and take a breath, get you a drink of water." Uh, the damage was horrendous.
Mhm.
The funeral home done as well as what they could do, but Aaron didn't look like Aaron. But in the crime scene photos, you could clearly see his nose was broken. You could also see like fingerprints where they was smeared or dried blood across his face.
Right.
And the body don't bleed, especially when it's hanging.
Mhm.
And like I said, we actually looked at him in his casket after they prepared him before they let anybody else see him because they suggested to us to close it because it didn't look like him. But they had done the best they could. Uh, we looked for
So
where
it's
they
just
had.
been a big mess from beginning to end. Is there any new tidbits
Other
of
than,
information you have or anything like current that you want to share with anyone?
well, let's see. Uh, they're trying to find my location. Uh, I know where the weapon is that was used on him. Uh, I know a
So
lot
they
more
know that you know where it is? Well, they will now, but
now.
uh,
Well, I don't know if anybody lets them watch it or not. But I'm going to
that's
use this opportunity to tell them it ain't over and the fat lady ain't sung a note yet
yeah.
because I will not let this go. I mean, one on one, these people, the guys knew they couldn't handle Aaron. Oh, did I lose you?
No.
Okay, well, I got to see if I can get this off the screen. There you are. Uh, there were five of them it took to kill him. They had got chemicals from Crystal's mama's house early that morning. Hack and Crystal was seen putting them in Hack's car. And I was told when Aaron was hit, there was blood went all across the ceiling. And as I say, the officers never went in the house, or they would have found Erica with her cell phone recording. She recorded the whole thing. And
So there is a recording out there somewhere.
actually, there is a girl put it up on Facebook that Erica told her, and she put it out in the open that Erica told her she recorded it.
Oh, I want to find that
Oh,
recording. I want.
oh, I would love to too, but I've got a little secret I'll tell you. Uh, but you can do a. I've come up with a couple of more of Aaron's cell phones. I have his numbers, and they could have got all the text messages and all that with the cell phones, with the
Right.
cell phone numbers. They didn't want them because it tied the police officers to it.
Of
And I'm
course.
pretty sure Aaron was betrayed by law enforcement. And not all of them, just a particular few. And the few I can tie to a lot of cases. Uh, we had people coming out and talking to me. Tennessee, if you look into Tennessee's dark hole, it's crazy what's in there.
And if you guys don't know what Tennessee's Dark Hole is, it's a Facebook group that someone started, and it's a way like you guys need to go on Facebook and take a look at it. You have to request to join. It is a private group, but
It's
there's a
a
lot of information about the things that go on in Tennessee because we've only heard a fraction of it with
oh,
Summer's case and a fraction of it with this case. And there's things going on out there in those hollers and on those
oh
ridges and
yes,
stuff
yes.
like that. I mean, it's no
You
joke.
know, recently, oh, there's a lot. And the one thing with Aaron's group, with my son's group, uh, Aaron had a pretty decent following, and Joshua Bohannon went missing. So I had let his family uh, put up about him and Aaron's group, and also about Caitlin Ledbetter. And these two people, young kids, I mean, young, good looking kids, vanished off the face of the earth. They wouldn't make police reports for Caitlin's for 5 days. Uh, then Josh's, I just think recently they made his. Caitlin's been gone since May the 2nd of this year. Josh since June the 3rd. And his wife actually told their family that Putnam County taught her how to pass a lie detector test.
So,
Something's
see,
not
it's
right
like
here.
when you hear stuff like that, and then you hear about like the Wells lie detector test, it's like
Yeah,
there's so many twists and turns and just
yes,
cover
and
ups and
it,
secrets, and it's just insanity.
it is. It really is. And like I said, the drug culture up there there's 7 counties of all numbers, the 13th district. And people are afraid to call the law. And then you have those that can benefit those that are setting in official positions. Drug dealers, like I said, there's a lady got 3 bodies on under her for selling bad dope, killed 3 people. She got 8 years probation. I mean, first offenses with over and over and over. How many first offenses do you get? So this is on the judicial side.
Right.
Um, they're keeping the drug dealers on the street. They keep the users on the street. You get a driver infraction, you're going to do some hard time up there.
Hmm.
So it's just not in the police departments, it's in the judicial system as well. I mean, up there, I know one guy in particular that was arrested for a charge he didn't commit. They made him take a plea bargain to not get any more charges, even though didn't he didn't commit the crime. And there's a lot of it. And what I could find in paperwork is the conviction rates. They're open and shut. And I found a paper the other day that shows their conviction rate for murder cases is 100%, but it don't show how many cases. Found a paper that said their suicide rate between 10 and 17-year-olds was up 24%. Okay,
That's
I
crazy.
talked, yeah, and I talked to a police officer. He said he hadn't heard of one in years, and that's in that county. So I know it's got to do with funds that come in. You
Yes.
have if you have all no open cases, no unsolved cases, then uh, you get higher funding because obviously you're doing a better job. But this district has the most counties of anybody in the state. The DA in Podunk, USA, in that district is the highest paid district attorney in the state of Tennessee. But
So there again, it's another area in a
yes,
state we've gotten to know really well that, elected officials, paid officials where citizens pay their salary are just not doing their jobs,
well, I
or they're
don't
doing
know
such a good job of hiding things that it just keeps the cycle going.
exactly, and it seems to be passed down from one. When you have one DA, when you go to another one. I actually spoke ADA Mark Gore called me after the autopsy report come in and talked to me. It started off a very nice conversation, and I started talking about my issues with it. And you could tell he was getting heated with me. And finally, he said, "Well, you haven't got any choice in accepting whatever I decide." And I said, "Well, I have one more question." And he said, "Okay." And he says, "I said, well, what about the report that you're waiting on the road? What did that say?" He said, there's no such report. We don't do that in suicides." I said, "So you decided it was a suicide while his body was laying on the ground out there?" And I said, "It's funny." I said, "I have a recording between me and the detective and him stating he was waiting on a 5-page report to, make his final call on it." He hung up on me. Never heard from him again.
Ah,
So I have
so,
recordings, text messages. I have them all.
and
I
probably the
kept.
more you talk about this, the more restricted calls, hang up calls, things like that. Like people are,
I actually had one today, right before this started. I had one that I've actually managed to answer back before. No, actually, it was right after I met with the DA in December. Come from a restricted number. It was a man. He said, "Tell the detective that's looking at this case," he said, "to go back and listen to Karen's statement and the 911 call." And I I called him and told him. And then I got to looking through pictures that I was going to share with the DA. That's when I discovered my son's wrist was broken. His right wrist was broke. And at that time, I never noted, I never paid any attention to it. And then after I remembered the crime scene photos, when Aaron was laying on the ground, the rope was hanging like, I don't know, 6, 7 inches below his neck. There was about 2 inches sticking out of the knot on the back. Now,
yeah,
Aaron's,
it wasn't very tight.
no, it wasn't tied at all. And then I got to looking at the
Yeah, which is
pictures
just,
I had taken of the rope hang, that Sonny had taken. Well, she had taken of it hanging on the beam before she took it down. This rope, the knot wasn't even tight. You could see a shadow behind the rope against the beam. It wasn't snugged up against the beam. With Aaron's weight, it would have snugged that up tight because he was
yeah.
big. And I mean, it's just, I guess, where maybe the shock's starting to wear off, maybe. Then I've noticed things that I didn't see before. I mean, that rope, if he hung himself, should have been tied around his neck.
Right.
And the rope I have is 47 inches long. I've never physically touched it without gloves, and that was one time. It's 47 inches long, and what was around his neck could have been no more than 2 feet, maybe between 18 inches and 24 inches. You're coming up with what, 71 inches.
Mhm.
Uh,
Which
if he
again
had
just
hung,
doesn't make sense. I mean, you look at
no,
the
if he
law
had
of
hung from
gravity
that,
and then,
if he had hung
measurements of
from
the
that rope,
structure. It's
uh-uh, they couldn't have got to him to cut him down. There wasn't
no.
no ladders there. I mean, I've got pictures of the building of stuff laying on the ground that was there. Uh, like I said, these people are, none of them except one is any taller than I am, and they could have not reached him to cut him down.
And it makes you wonder how people who are just not the most brilliant people, I mean, and it's
Well,
not just in this case. I mean, you look at like Dawn and Candace, and Lord, I'm probably going to be crucified, but I mean, we all have our opinions. Do I know for a fact that they did something to their child? No, I don't. None of us do. Do I have
no,
my opinions? Yes. But you look at people with those type problems with the drug and the alcohol abuse, which we all know was present before she went missing. This was a problem in your situation, with all of those people
yeah,
before Aaron passed away. these people can't, they don't function on a normal level on a consistent
No.
basis day after day. So how do they get away with stuff like this? Well, that
Well,
only leads
yeah,
back to having help from the very people that are supposed to be prosecuting these people.
exactly. Exactly. Because, uh, I actually had an officer here in Tennessee, uh, away from that area up there, that actually read Aaron's autopsy report.
Hmm.
I mean, things like stomach contents wasn't on him on the report. His height, they had him at 6'2". He's 6'6". Had his weight at 208. He weighed 245.
So it was like
Uh,
they just filled in the blanks that hoping,
yeah. Well, actually, they spoke of him having a a tear in one of his blood vessels to his heart. Now, Aaron was an athlete in school, very good athlete. You have to take the physicals. They also said he had severe emphysema. He did smoke, but Aaron walked 8-10 miles every day. He had huge,
yeah,
muscly legs. I don't believe that somebody has emphysema as bad as they said he did, uh, could walk like he did.
it's like they
And
were just taking all kinds of different medical conditions and sticking them all together, hoping that,
yes,
a combination or one, one or two of the things would, explain his mental state. I mean, just the whole thing from them blaming the drugs and
yeah,
alcohol and
yeah. Well,
that
now,
it
one
doesn't
thing,
add up. I mean, we
yeah.
all can see that.
Now, I'm not going to sit and say Aaron never done drugs, because he did. He wasn't a choir boy.
Right.
But the thing with Aaron, Aaron didn't find what he needed with drugs. He might do them one night, and it might be years before he'd touch them again. It just never gave him what he needed. And his alcohol was where he had his problem, but he had come through that where he wasn't drinking to get drunk. He was just, he had a, I don't know if alcohol or none of that eases pain. I know it'll let you run away from your, reality
Yeah,
for a little
it's
while.
just
But
a
he
temporary
had
fix to a permanent problem.
a foot where they were needed to cut it off in order to get him out of a wreck, and he wouldn't let them do it. So they broke it all to pieces when they got him out of the wreck, and it never did heal right. I'm not even sure that injury was listed on the autopsy report. But I was told that the meth level in his system was high enough to it would have incapacitated him. Uh, I don't know about that. I know the alcohol level didn't seem high, or it didn't to me. Uh, I'm not a big drinker. Never was a real. I drink a little bit, but I never was a big drinker because it runs in the family, and I refuse to be an alcoholic. But Aaron, like I said, he had his savior complex, and he did. He loved
Hmm.
this girl, and now she keeps friend questioning me, wanting pictures of him, and that it's
Yeah,
important to
she's just
her.
sick.
It's important to her for me to know she's doing good, and
So,
one of my best ones. I want everybody to hear this one. I met a lady back a long, long time ago. Her son had been to prison for selling a couple of Laura tabs, and
uh,
done his time. He come out, is in 7 years, and I knew him when he was small, but not after he'd grown up. And he got out of prison, and he got hooked up with Crystal. And of course, he's never done drugs. He don't drink. Works hard every day, working 80, 90 hours a week. But she got high one night. He said she was hitting the pipe and drunk. Said she just started squalling and told him that Aaron was haunting her. And he said, well, no, she said Rabbit was haunting her. And he said, who is Rabbit? And she said, that's Aaron Key. And She told him that Russell and Rufus had killed Aaron and that she cleaned up the blood. And he called me, and his mama kept trying to convince him that she was involved in the death. He called me and he asked me if I talked to him about it. I said, I'll tell you what I know, because his mom was squalling, afraid they'd hurt him.
Right.
And I told him what I knew, what I'd been told. I said, now, mind you, I was not an eyewitness to any of this. This is what I'm told. He went and made a formal statement that she told him of her involvement in Aaron's death. Signed it. The, the detective that took the statement told him he wasn't credible because he had been to prison. But they took the word that Aaron had hung himself. Everybody out there that night were convicted. Most of them, all of them, were convicted felons. And he's not credible. They could take their word, but he's not credible.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, if you witness, if somebody tells you I did this, that is not hearsay. You know, that's one on one. And
Right.
but I mean, since this has all happened, Hack has died. Uh, the detective was 42 years old, same age as Aaron. He passed away. Now you've got two families with kids growing up without their father.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal got indicted for selling drugs. Uh, it's karma sort of started making its way through.
Okay, so let's talk about her charges for a second. I want you guys to listen because we all know how quick, the revolving doors at the courthouse and the jail are in Tennessee because Don spent what, like minutes, a couple of hours. I mean, I know he was out of there pretty quick. How long did she spend in jail when she was brought in?
Actually, 47 minutes.
47 minutes to process in and process out.
Yeah,
So
she
you
was
guys
in.
that are taking notes, make a note of that.
There's two. She had two counts. One was selling meth, and one was selling Subutex, which she in Tennessee they have Suboxone to help you get off drugs. And if you're
Yeah.
unless you're allergic to Suboxone or you're pregnant, they won't give you the Subutex. Suboxone has an inhibitor in it that if you do drugs or you drink, it makes you sick. Subutex don't have that. And now she's selling that. She's going into Ardmore, Alabama, to get these, which makes it. She's crossing the state line, which makes it trafficking.
Yep.
And last I heard, they were trying to get her on that, but she was indicted on these two charges. Her bond was only $5,000. Uh, they picked up 4 or 5 more, but one thing, and they had got this guy to come out there, and Rufus hit this guy in the back of the head with a mag light flashlight like cops carry, knocked him to his knees. They had asked him to come out there, and if he hadn't been able to get up, that would have been a second body. But he was hit from behind, just like Aaron was.
So you started the Facebook group and that kind of brought some attention and that grew, right? Your Facebook group grew.
Yeah.
Um, and then, you became a part of the Tennessee Dark Hole group. So you're hearing about other stories, which you guys, I'm going to start bringing some stories over from that group and bringing it to my channel because we've got to get the word out. How do you feel that, like I'm sure you've noticed just by, checking in with me, and I know you have been in Tiffany Marie's chats before. I don't know if you've ever been in any of AB's, but you know how I feel about both of them. But you've kind of seen a little bit of the drama going on social media right now, have you? Have you noticed anything or
Yes, I have my own theories, but you got to understand, I don't trust nobody. But
right?
to me, what's going on? I mean, these creators, even the small ones, but the ones that aren't monetized, give people like my son, they give me a voice to get out, to get the word out there. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, I mean, you've got cases, you've got Summers. Uh, Summer Wells case has opened up, so to speak, a Pandora's box about what really
Yes.
goes on in Tennessee. And I pray the little girl's found, and truthfully, and I pray I'm right. I think the little girl's going to turn up. But in all of this bickering and fighting, it has where the creators, everybody has to defend themselves. Everybody's going for the jugulars, fabricating stories, and uh, it
And
has
the
taken away.
personal attacks, like they're
Yes,
attacking our lives personally. And
yeah,
so that, like, I mean, I haven't done a stream in over a month. I think it's like you do get to a point where it's like, is it even worth it? Because I'm not going to
exactly.
lie, I've had that thought cross my mind several times. And then I'm like, yeah, it is worth it. It's worth it because if I can help one person,
Right, right. See,
that
they're making differences in people's lives. I mean, the lady from down in Washington County, that she didn't even realize she could have a voice on a platform like YouTube. And, her
right,
case has a lot of similar stuff as Aaron's. The sheriff having a casket sealed. Where does the sheriff get the authority to have a casket sealed where the family can't even say goodbye? They don't even know what was in that casket.
exactly.
And I mean, you took away when all of this started, you have certain ones out there now that's monetized or they're making money on playing up the drama, keeping the fighting going. Meanwhile, me and all these other people out here, we no longer have a voice because you guys are having to defend yourselves. And we're standing there like, well, we're back to square one. The rug's been jerked out from under us. And
Right.
it may be selfish on our part to feel that way, but you've got to understand all these creators gave us hope. And that's something we didn't have before. These platforms have give us the ability, especially the group up there, the Tennessee's Dark Hole. It has give those people in that district the ability to come together and talk about cases. And then when we get in my case, I talk about Caitlin Ledbetter, Joshua Bohannon. Uh, if anybody's familiar with Lauren Agee, this is the same people, the same district attorney, same judges uh,
Mhm.
involved in Lauren Agee's case. Courtney Cash, Johnny Cash's great niece, is a victim in this district as well. I mean, uh, they found skulls up there a few weeks ago. Nobody, nothing. TBI hadn't said nothing. The district attorney hadn't said nothing. One of the members knew about the skulls. She called Channel 2 News. They called and asked the sheriff about these skulls. He wasn't aware of his skulls. The sheriff is aware of everything that happens in his county. And then the DA, they called the DA's office and he says there'll be a statement tomorrow morning. On Friday morning, there were two arrests. for the murder of the Wilsons. But no, but they had nobody said nothing about these two skulls being found. Nothing. And I don't believe there would have been had the call not been made to the reporter. What's going on is not being covered by media. Social media, such as YouTube, Facebook, they have given these victims' families a way to get the word out, the way they're finding each other.
Right.
And you guys are all having to defend yourselves, then that's one avenue that's shut down, that's not available to us. And it seems like people have lost perspective about what they set out to do. And I think
So
if everybody,
what made you want to turn to social media? Did you just
it's the
feel
only,
that that was the only option you had?
yes,
Because
ma'am. I called every news station in the state of Tennessee. Nothing. Finally got one lady to call me back out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and she asked me to explain what had happened. And I told her, she says, well, I want to do this. I said, I got $100 bill that says your station manager don't let you do it. I got an email 3 weeks later, after getting my hopes up, they can't do it because it wasn't in their area. But during all this, I don't care who knows it. I had a DE agent I talked to. I relayed him everything I got, everything. DEA can be involved in a murder investigation if it can be directly linked with the sales of drugs. In Aaron's case, he was there to try to help shut this place down. That was the only place that he was trying to shut down. But
yeah.
come to find out, they had another one in the house, and they had told the other one, and he informed what was going on. Russell Cox told Aaron and another guy, I won't say his name, to protect him, that they knew they was working for the cops and he was going to kill them.
Ugh.
And then you've got Rufus the day before. You have, what is it, probable cause. But now the detective blowed it off. Like I said, the phones, they got them. They could have got the phone records, but see, that would have tied them and Aaron together.
Right.
I've had Craig.
So
Go ahead.
with us being able to come on a platform like this and talk about the different things that you know and the things that you're finding out, does the drama and the upset among the people, I guess, the division, does that kind of make you leery of wanting to come on a platform like this and talk about it? Are you afraid it'll hurt the case?
No, I'm not afraid, but the only thing that is all consuming now is Summer Wells. And Summer's important, and she really is. But
Right.
there are
But every life's important, let's be honest.
exactly.
And
I
the
mean,
reason
you have law enforcement that is playing God with children's lives. I mean, I remember hearing somewhere that the sheriff, where this happened with Summer, is actually Don's uncle.
yeah, I mean and that's the thing, a lot of rumors get started and then there's the rumor about a creator flat out said, there's going to be a network documentary and I'm going to get a part and but certain people aren't, and so then people run with that and then
Yeah.
a couple of
Well,
days later it's like this isn't happening. So it
you
leads
know,
people.
I'm outside Summer Wells's case. My Aaron was actually nearly stolen once from me in West Tennessee. And if I had left, and there'd been many kids go missing there, but I wouldn't leave. And Aaron ended up turning up. He had been put to sleep with ether on his face.
Oh,
The place the guy was got arrested. Oh shoot! The guy was gotten and arrested. The place stayed shut down for like 16 years. So this has been going on a long, long time.
mhm.
Aaron was maybe 2 years old when this happened, and this stuff has come into Tennessee. The good old boy, they cover each other, and the ones that want to do right, if they ever, the good ones, if they ever cross the line just the least little bit, then that's held over their head. It's like blackmail. You know, we're going to tell this on you. But like I said, I found out a lot about the night with Aaron, who all was there, where at first, the one thing I've never actually got to see is the actual police report. Oh, and they had somebody called 911 in Davidson County that this had happened up there in Turkeytown and here in Overton County. We're talking about 100 miles. Somebody had called 911. We got to see that report. Of course, it was anonymous.
Right.
So, but the thing here with Summer, I feel the creators have lost sight of what they started out to do. I think if everybody would step back, because people, I've got a big mouth. I'm going to talk. If they kill me, I'll be talking when I'm dying. That's just the way it is. I'm my son's only voice.
Right.
And I know he didn't do it. I'm 100% positive. But, like I said, I spent 26 months calling everybody. Everybody. Nobody was interested in talking about Aaron's case. They didn't care. And a lot of people still don't. We didn't have the right name. We couldn't donate to campaigns and stuff like that. We done good to bury Aaron. I just got that paid off last April. But the
Yeah, and
creator,
there's been a lot of people that said, that like Summer's case didn't get any attention because they were poor or this and
oh
that.
my
And I mean, I
God.
do think that that plays a part in all cases to an extent.
If
I'm
Aaron's
leaning,
case had what Summers has had, there'd be a lot of political people and officers without jobs.
yeah,
But she is a little girl, but you got to understand how many is really missing in Tennessee. In the 13th up there, it's mind boggling how many. And the police officers and Caitlin, they wouldn't do a police report on her for 5 days. They come out and searched like 30 minutes. And then her dad's house burnt and
right.
kept catching on fire, and his girlfriend burned up in the house. Hadn't heard nothing about cause of death on this lady or nothing.
No, there's
There's
not
just
anything
there's
out there.
a
We're
whole
going
lot
to
to
talk
it.
about it though. We're going to talk about it in the very near future.
Well,
So,
but the creators have got, or I pray they realize just how much they mean to the people like me that live off of barely nothing. They Aaron's dad told him the night he was up there. He said, "That boy's mama gets here, there's going to be hell on earth." And I've been raising hell ever since.
yeah.
Uh, and see, you guys give us a way to get it out there what's going on. Uh, and hopefully there'll be somebody, reach out and say, "Man, this ain't right. What is going on in this area?" And that's my hope with Cold Case.
Right. Like this is
It's
I feel that creators should work together to an extent.
yes, yes. I mean,
However, I think that recently, we've reached the point of no return, with some relationships among creators
yes, yes.
because
I
of the
mean,
real life situations that has been brought into it. I don't know if she was still here. Well, actually, a couple of creators were in the chat that, have had some real life things happen to them. Their information has been put out. And so
well,
it's just,
the one dude, he's made a killing off of people with all the shit he stirred up. Excuse me. Uh, one lady actually asked me to involve this person. No, I don't want nobody that I can't
okay, the
respect.
person in question, I think we all know who you're talking about.
I
How do you
somebody I
deem,
can't respect. I don't want involved. Uh, I've sat and I've watched. I've been watching a lot of it of the ugly stuff. You guys being personal information. You guys do expose things that could actually get your families hurt,
Mhm,
and that makes another victim. And when you guys have brought so much hope to so many people, and to have a person get inside so many people's head and destroy really what all the creators have built, all you guys have built together.
right, because
And
it's not,
now,
I mean, it takes time and effort and energy
yes,
to,
yes,
build a reputation for yourself and, to be someone. And we're not all perfect. We all have our demons and our things that we're dealing with. I've made bad choices in my life, but that was then. I don't want to be
yes.
judged on something I did a year ago, 2 years ago.
Well, first
Things
of
are
all,
not 20 years ago. So
there's
when you have
not.
people bringing all this stuff in that really doesn't matter, it sucks because we do kind of feel like we have to crawl in a hole and hide a little bit and stay out of the spotlight because now every single move we make and every word we say is scrutinized that much more.
Well, I don't think the people that you guys have helped should lose faith in you guys, or the ones that uh, have stood tall in all of it. Uh, actions always speak louder than words. And I know back 10 years ago when my son didn't have kids, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I'm a firm believer in an eye for an eye. But my son's kids come first. Uh, they need to know their dad didn't leave by his own hand. That's important. Uh, because at the end of the day, the only things we leave in this world are they're our legacy, our children,
Mhm.
our grandchildren. And I hope I'm teaching mine, when you know something's wrong, stand up. I mean, yes, you may be ostracized for it, but that's okay because you're doing what God wants you to do. And I know in all this, there has been a lot of transformation in me. I believe God brought you to me because, you run across Aaron's story in a group.
Right.
And I mean, it just virtually exploded. But
So
the
how
one
do
thing
you feel? What
go
do
ahead.
you think about creators that, the monetized channels? Like, do
I
you
don't have, these people take their time to get our stories out there. That's time that's being taken away from their families or other things they could be doing. So I don't have a problem with it. If I could afford it, I'd be more, I would support these channels because they're doing something that the people really, really need.
right?
And, to me, And they're doing it freely. They're not asking you to monetize them. I haven't seen anybody ask for that, except for one or two that, like I said, they're capitalizing on the little person's misery. They're prolonging what these people with no voices are having to go through by, and concentrating on just one case. And believe it or not, when it comes down, a lot of these, and possibly Summers, are all tied together. And even names, similar, the same names are coming up over there in that area. I'm 175 miles from there.
Mhm.
So this is something that seems to be well organized. I don't think it's no coincidence at all. And for you guys, if you guys make money and you're doing this much good for the public, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. No problem whatsoever. I would encourage people to not lose faith in you guys, especially the ones that have stood tall in all of it, and come back to all the other cases too. I mean, yeah, there's going to be a dogfight over the Summer case, but why not tie it all together? Because Aaron's case, if I could reveal all I know, it'd make a blockbuster movie. It'd make Walking Tall look like something in a Cracker Jack box. And
So
I found
another
that much stuff. And just I think you guys do incredible free work. If you get monetized, I think it's awesome for the people that can afford to do that. Uh, at first when I started out, I wanted other people's opinions because I realized that I'm not objective. We're talking about my child,
right.
and but as I said, it would have been a whole lot easier if he had actually done it. And I've had Aaron's petition to have him exhumed has seen 27,000 people have seen it. He's got less than 500 signatures on it.
Yeah, we've been posting the link in chat. My mods are really good about that. So I know a few people that were in chat today that weren't before, they've gone and signed it. Another creator that was in chat is going to share it on her channel. So
We've come
we're
up with some shirts, hooded sweatshirts. I absolutely love them. Somebody called, I guess it'd be all right. I don't know exactly what they do, but they'd made a design of a muscled up fighting rabbit.
mhm.
And we had that put on the sweatshirt, and his initials are put on the back. They've got like 9 different styles trying to raise money, and I think we sold 10 of those. A lot of the other
Yeah, you
cases,
got to do what you got to do. I mean, yes, there are proper procedures and policies that are in place to protect people for like fundraisers and,
well, now I asked, I asked them before the shirt started if I could use that logo,
right.
and they went along with it. And what was it they put on? Ended up triggered justice, and justice for Aaron Shane Key. But Aaron here is a little older, and that I think that makes a difference.
It
But
does.
he's my baby,
Right.
and the hardest pain I've ever known in my life was bringing that boy into the world. He was 2 foot long. I didn't think that boy was ever going to make it out into the world. And I thought there could be, no greater pain. I'd lost my parents. You don't know pain till the law throws your child away like a tin can, like he never mattered, like he never existed. The greatest pain is having to give him back to God. Uh, and you creators have given all of you give me hope. I didn't know you guys even existed until you looked at Aaron's case. I didn't know it was there. I'm 63. I
Yeah.
don't know the internet a lot. I'm doing real good to operate the cell phone, but I appreciate all the ones that's done so much good for the little people. I mean, there's not enough can be said for you guys, but we need all of you back, and we need all of you to quit. Stop the bickering and calling each other names and exposing people's families to possible harm. I mean,
Right.
put the shoe on the other foot. I believe you only get as good as you give. And uh, you guys, the ones I've watched, it's been amazing what I've learned, by watching you guys and just hearing you conversate together. And it was like Aaron's. We call it Rabbit's Army. You guys were the people's army, and it's very. You guys have been everything to us.
Well, I can't imagine doing anything else, like it was by accident that I fell into this whole YouTube thing. And, I'm here now. And yes, we had a rough patch. And yes, I've had all kinds of crap said about me. I had my picture, basically stolen and put out there. But I wouldn't
People,
change this for anything because,
I need to tell these people what kind of person you are. I know a second autopsy would clear Aaron's name. And I know that really, he's not there. It's just a body. But this person that I'm talking to right now agreed if there's a second autopsy to go in and be with my son where he doesn't have to be alone and to put a blanket with him when they send him back. She's never met me. She don't know me. But she agreed to do that. That tells you what kind of person she is. And I'm sorry, but
that got me in the feels.
uh, I know I'm never going to be all right. But if they'd done what they're supposed to start with, I would have been maybe somewhere along the process of the grieving. I haven't got to stop and grieve. I fought from day one.
Yeah, it's just been a battle.
It is. I've never seen that. I had no idea it was like that. I guess I just thought it was like it was when I grew up. And
Right.
I grew up a poor child, but I grew up in an area that was safe. I mean, and you've got police officers that won't even go out and serve eviction notices on people, and even though they're signed by judges. There's somebody asking about the shirts. Yeah, the shirts are available in Justice for Aaron Shane Key. Uh,
So just go to the Facebook group, the public group.
yeah, yeah, the one that's it's got like 1,700 members. There's one group in
Okay.
there. It's for people that I guess, don't want nobody up there to know they support us. But
Yeah.
but
And I'll grab a link for it. I'll grab a link for it from Facebook and I'll post it up on my community page for everyone. So if you guys want a sweatshirt or something, you can go and
yeah,
get one. I'm about to have to wrap this up because the kiddo's going to be coming home from school. But there is one other question that I really wanted to ask because it has become such a point of contention with people. Do you care if YouTube creators show their face or not? Does that make you trust them any less if they don't show
No,
their face?
no.
There you
Well,
have it, folks.
when you showed your face is the first time I'd ever seen it. And it don't matter because, again, your actions speak louder than words. You can stand and you can look at somebody all day you've known all your life and not know who they are. So
Bingo.
it don't matter. That of the looks part, no, doesn't matter. Uh, if I'd never seen your face, I was okay with that. And the people I know of in the groups I've been in, they're the same way. We appreciate what you're doing for us.
Right.
Your looks don't matter. It don't matter. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart. And so you've got people that's got great hearts, giving hearts, and then you have those who are only takers. And
Yeah.
I was blessed to have you come along, and it didn't matter if you'd been 4 foot tall and 4 foot wide. Wouldn't have mattered.
Well, I'm
You know,
not
when
much taller than 4 feet. I'm 5'2".
you know,
Well, that was one thing, to just kind of end it on like a little lighter note, maybe, it's just because a lot of people have said, well, who's going to trust someone, that is afraid to show their face? And,
but when you have,
it really is for safety
it
reasons,
is, it is.
I
When you
mean,
have family, I know that you have been told not to come into Tennessee.
oh, yeah.
Uh, so, now you've exposed yourself. And first of all, Tennessee
Well,
won't,
and let's keep in mind, I didn't expose, what I
but
look
your
like, but
family, when
someone
they
did
go
that
out,
for me. But here I am, it is what it is, and it's fine. But I don't, people have got to stop like trying to force people into situations because I have a 17-year-old and I have an 8-year-old still in school. And my 17-year-old, yes, she definitely has friends on YouTube. She definitely, you know, there's just nobody should be forced into
no.
feeling like they have to show their face
Well,
because,
I didn't show mine. But you know what? I don't care how I look. And I don't care who sees me. If they come after me, they come after me. I'm not going to be as an easy target as they think I would be. But I go to my son's grave. They're not going to keep me from my son's grave. He has new flowers. Always has beautiful flowers that his mother makes. And if we have to live in fear, what kind of life is that? And when you have children of your own, as you do, and I'm sure many of the other creators do, then I think it's the best to not reveal your face for the protection of your family. Uh, I'm in an area where I'm not close to where anybody else is close to me that can get hurt. Uh, like I said,
right.
if something happens, then I'm okay with it because I'm doing what's right. And you guys, people like you, are doing what's right, but you have to do it in a way that protects your family. And I think YouTube should put themselves in your positions because, especially in a case like Aaron's, when you have corruption involved, you guys are being exposed to that corruption as well as we are.
And it sucks to know that your fellow creators, some of them out there who really haven't reported on any case, they haven't brought any information about
Yeah,
the case to anyone, but they've brought a lot of problems, and their main agenda is,
yeah.
to tear the good creators down. And
Yeah, but see, when once if they tear all you guys down, they're not going to be able to replace you because you guys are the ones. that have established this way of this media force. And after people have sat back and watched what they've done to you guys, the ones that have been doing what they were supposed to, nobody's ever going to trust them.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't, because if you'll do that to them, then you'll do it to me.
Hmm.
So, people need to step back that's doing all this slinging. And if you want to be where these creators are, start doing what they're doing. Stop throwing, because at the end of the day, it's childish. What grown people sit and sling names and expose families to dangers? What adult does that?
Right.
I mean, they
And
don't.
and then they say, well, it's been done to me. Well, it happens. But the thing is say you don't like someone's opinion, because there's a group of people that are doing this that in their mind and what they tell people is they're doing it on behalf of the victim or the victim's family. And that's fine if you want to represent and be the voice for that side, but there's an ethical and moral way to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. And now, the moral fiber of this country is in danger. I mean, they've taken God out of everything. And don't get me wrong. When I get mad, I'll cuss like a sailor. But I believe in God with all my heart. I always have. And I know God's the only thing that's kept me from doing stupid things that I was raised in. It's kept he's walked hand in hand with me, and he has brought people like you into my life. And he has there's something he has in store for me, be it me bringing all these victims together to because one case, Summer Wells's case, that's the best one I can come with. Summer Wells' case is not gonna break all the corruption. It's not going to stop it. But when you've got 5, 6, 700 cases, thousands, and all these victims' families standing together, that's when there's going to be a change.
Right.
So, I mean, that people may not like my opinion, but that's one thing in this group, the Tennessee's dark hole. And those cops tried to get in it through their wives' accounts, all kinds of ways, because they say it's causing a lot of problems. It ought to. Somebody had to
Well,
do something.
yeah, because all the dirty little secrets that they don't want out there is getting out
Exactly.
there.
And these secrets go back into the 70s that I know of. So for the creators out there that are doing doing things the right way, you guys will never know how much you're appreciated. And I hope YouTube can step back and realize the difference you're making, because when we posted in that group about the two skulls, these two people are now going to be able to be put to rest by their families,
And
and two
that
people
is
two people are in
amazing.
jail, and it's because of people like you, social media. It's because of you guys. And I mean, and this little group ain't but 2 months old. 2 months
Yeah,
old. You know,
it's grown a
so
lot.
so people can unite and they can get things done. But one person, you got one person that starts it, but it takes an army to fight it.
Yeah.
And this
And see,
group's
here's
come
the
together.
thing. Prosecution and defense teams, they battle it out in court all morning long, and then they go eat lunch together. So, I mean,
Exactly.
there is a way to coexist. I mean,
There is. There
for the
is.
love of all things holy, I'm not saying go out there and start a bunch of scammy fundraisers and do things that, you're not supposed to be doing. I'm a rule person. Follow the rules, do it the right way.
Yes.
If you don't agree with it, then just don't agree with it unless, there's some horrible life altering situation, or someone's in imminent danger. If you don't want to be a part of it, just don't be a part of it. Just keep your mouth shut and move it along. You
Yeah.
don't
I
have
mean,
to tear someone down.
that's about being individuals, forming our own opinions. And if you can't respect somebody's opinion just because it differs from yours, then you're not an adult.
Yeah,
I mean, just think if we all thought we'd be like robots, like computers. What a boring, awful world this would be. These give platforms where people can voice their opinions and maybe even, maybe somewhere in all I've said today, if they want to go read all the stuff in Justice for Aaron Shane Key, maybe they will find something I've missed because I'm not objective.
exactly.
And I welcome that. You guys have given us the ability to seek other opinions from all over the world. And that is something, what, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have had, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm not gonna lie, all this drama, it put me in a funk there for a little bit, but
oh, it's
I'm
made me
back.
mad. It's made me fighting mad that people that are trying to help people, and then you got the other ones sitting over here that are so jealous, they're going to try to tear it down. But at the end of the day, because they went about things the wrong way, they're never going to get to where you guys are because you only get as good as you give. You do somebody
Yeah,
bad,
and they
karma's
don't
coming.
care. They're just like, oh, well, I'll have a backup channel. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have to
Yeah,
have 15 channels to back up the 5 you're going to get shut down this week because some jerk is, determined to destroy you. It's just dumb.
the real I can understand having backup channels for technical difficulty, things like that.
Yeah,
But
things
when you've got
happen.
to have 15 or 20 channels so you can go on and degrade and spread false rumors, you ain't shit to start with. Now that's just my opinion. And I don't care who don't like it. I shoot it straight the way I feel.
Yeah,
Prove me
I
wrong,
do too.
and I'll admit I'm wrong. But they're not out to do good. They're out to do harm, and
Right.
that pisses me off.
Well, I know that AB and Tiffany both got to hear, a little bit of it today. They're awesome creators. That's not a popular opinion right now. I don't
Uh,
care. I
See,
don't want to be.
there ain't nobody sets my opinion but me.
Yeah,
You might suggest, guys might swap maybe your cases, to hit other audiences,
right.
that's an idea. But there ain't nobody else going to form my opinion. I had one lady that tried.
That
I
didn't work
said my
out,
own
don't it?
opinion. I can think for myself. I'm still coherent. Now, if I get where I can't, this is a different ball game. But I think for myself. People need to start doing more thinking for themselves instead of listening to what everybody else says.
For sure.
God give us the ability to think and rationalize for ourselves. That's what we need to do. So
Well,
I thank you, and I
and thank you for
appreciate
answering
everything.
all my questions. I thought it was important to get that out there, to let people hear the opinions of a victim's family member, what it's like on that side of the screen when you hear all of this and you see all of this going on. And
It's such a waste of time.
it
I mean, at
is.
the end of the day, it's a waste of time. Aaron's been in the ground going on 32 months. And I know, when he's in a vault, but the second autopsy, the sooner it's done, the
Yeah,
more
the talk is
evidence it's going to
ticking when
yield.
it comes to stuff like that, you know. So
And in
we're
his
gonna
case,
keep.
time's important, and I just pray that cold case will take it. Oh, and you know the upside down V that's always at the back of anybody's neck that's been hung.
Yes.
Aaron didn't have one. His hyoid bone was intact. He didn't have a tiki eye, no swollen tongue, nothing that goes along with hanging. And his isn't the only case on that same ridge. So, I mean, there's
Well,
just
we're
so
gonna
much.
keep digging. We're gonna keep making noise about it. They've shared the petition in chat. I'm gonna put the link for the shirts up, and you know, if anyone would like to, it'll be on my community post later, so you can check it out. If you can buy a shirt, there'll be a GoFundMe link. This is all just to have him exhumed and have the independent testing done
Yeah,
to try to get some help. This isn't
that's what it
going.
is. Yeah. I don't,
This is
I ain't never had no money. I don't need no money. But
Yeah.
there's also
So to
a
those,
petition.
I'm going to go
Look,
ahead and say it right now. This isn't about making money for
no,
anyone. I'm not making a dime off of it. I don't want a dime off
she
of
had
it. I have
no.
donated to the GoFundMe.
She did.
We're just going to go ahead and nip that crap in the bud.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
There is also a second petition. It is a petition that's supposed to go to the FBI
mhm.
to ask them to investigate the 13th Judicial District in Tennessee. If you're so, I
Is there a
mean,
link to that in the Facebook group?
yes, it's in
Okay,
Aaron's
I'll
group.
pull that link and we'll get that
Yeah.
posted too.
Yeah, because these people in this district, I don't live there anymore, but you've got future generations that's going to have to come up there.
Right.
And something's good's got to come out of Aaron's death, and somehow I'm going to see it through. And with people like you, like the Cold Case Foundation and Tiffany, people like us might get closure, might get the
Yeah.
answers we've been afraid to ask, or they've been afraid. I, I ain't got no sense to be afraid. But I love you, and I
Love you
appreciate all
too.
of you creators.
All
Uh,
right, and I will talk to you soon.
love you, girl, and thank you,
Love you
everyone, for
too.
listening. Bye bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, folks. It's a crazy case. You can watch more videos about it on the other channel, Crime Scene Uncovered. It should be linked in the chat. If not, just do a search for it. It comes up now. You don't have to mess with your filter. And now we've heard from a victim what it's really like to see all this chaos and turmoil and drama among creators going on. Do I think that it's going to change? No, probably not right now. If anything, it may make it a little bit worse, especially for myself. But I don't care. You know, it's people like Lisa that I'm here for. And for the other cases that I'm working on that I haven't even spoken about yet. So I can't cuss as much as I used to. And that's really been a struggle for me for 2.5 hours now. But I give zero F's and I'm going to keep doing what I do regardless of what anyone thinks. So maybe I'll show my face sometimes. Maybe I might be having a bad hair day and I won't. Maybe I have a big ugly zit that I don't want anyone to see. But I'm going to keep doing what I do. I know that the other creators we all admire are going to keep doing what they do. So, you know, maybe some people just need to move it along and let these victims have their voice and their outlet to get their story told. I appreciate all of you for being here. Yay me, I'm monetized finally. So thank you to all of the people who gave me my watch hours. I appreciate it greatly. Um, and I will see you guys soon. I'll see most of you in Discord. I don't know if anyone's live right now, but go find someone good to listen to. Research some stuff on Aaron's case. If you guys have any questions, you can always email me at crimesceneuncovered@gmail.com, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Be kind to everyone and have a wonderful afternoon.